All right, let's talk about the Oregon Ducks. This is a program that made a lot of news over the weekend for the right reasons. Look, there's a lot of questions about the long-term situation with the Pac-12, the Big 10, Big 12, a lot of conference realignment going on. But let's not remember the real success, the real way you win football games in the college football level at the highest levels, which of course Oregon is at, is how you recruit, how you bring in players into your program, how you get transfers into your program. It's building that pipeline. And the Oregon Ducks over the weekend quietly made a massive move for the long-term success of their program.
Yeah, Nick, Oregon has been doing phenomenal this offseason. We've talked about Dan Lanning and co. getting win after win after win for this organization. I think this signing here is no different, or commitment rather. I think this is going to be huge for the Ducks going forward, and I think this just goes to show a trend happening in Oregon. But Nick, I want to ask the Ducks fans in the comments below today, Ducks fans, what do you think the record for this team is going to be for this coming season? There's been a lot of growth and a lot of very interesting pieces brought into this organization, but let us know in the comments below, what do you think their record will be for this coming season? I think there's going to be a lot of interesting answers in there, Nick, but let's go ahead and get on into it. What do we have for the Ducks?
So I felt like when Oregon was really at their peak, about a decade ago when they were running that Chip Kelly offense, they were a preeminent year in and year out national level recruiting powerhouse. And we're seeing Coach Dan Lanning do a great job in the more recent classes, the 2023 and 2024 classes, recruiting very well at a national level. He's extended that success now to the 2025 class. Miles, if you can throw up the report, this is from Sam Spiegelman over at On3 Sports. This is talking about new commitment for the Oregon Ducks wide receiver Adrian Wilson. All right, from the report, Adrian Wilson has made two difficult decisions in the past 2 months. That includes committing to the Horned Frogs, talking about TCU, at the back end of June, and then flipping that pledge to Oregon late on Saturday night after making out to the Pacific Northwest for a visit this weekend. Now, the number 36 overall player in the country now, and the on 300 for the 2025 recruiting cycle is set to be a Duck. Wilson on Oregon. We had good connections prior to the camp. When we started to talk, everything started to set up. He continued. Growing up, I played a lot of NCAA 14. Playing in Austin was always something I did. And to be in Austin was a huge dream for me. To play there as a Sam. I apologize if I mispronounced the stadium name there. Oregon was a better fit for me, Wilson asserted. That was made exceedingly clear after a sit down with Lanning. Oregon's head coach answered each one of Wilson's questions in detail, leading to the commitment. He brought me into his offense and answered every one of my questions, Wilson explained. It made me really comfortable because he answered them properly. All right, one of the things about being a head coach at the college level, this is something I truly believe, is you're not just an X's and O's guy. You're just not a leader of personalities. You're a salesman. You really have to be. In the NFL, it's different. You have the GM, you have agents, you have scouting departments that have to interact with players. To be a head coach, to get these recruits and transfers, you have to have the ability to sell. Some programs, not so much. Alabama doesn't have to sell quite as much because it's Alabama. Ohio State, same way. Kind of these next level big time programs, Oregon is one of them. You have to have an elite level salesman. Chip Kelly was that way, and that's why Oregon won a lot of football games. Dan Lanning right now, to me, is coming across as an elite level salesman. And if you have a guy like that as your head coach, no matter what conference you're in, no matter who you play, you will have a strong and consistent pipeline of top flight talent to your school. That's why I think Oregon is set up for long-term success, and Coach Lanning is continuing to do a phenomenal job in the recruiting department. But Miles, I'll throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this commitment and just everything with the Oregon Ducks program right now?
Yeah, Nick, first and foremost, Dan Lanning has really just shown that he's a masterful level recruiter. This guy is really talented. He was a track star. He was blazing fast in the track game. Also at the high jump was very well. So he's a talented athlete. But I just want to pick up on something that you have to dig in the weeds a little bit to kind of see what kind of pedigrees these guys have, what kind of, athleticism goes throughout their family. And I think those are things that Oregon does. They do the little things right and really get some under the radar guys. Now, this guy's a 4-star, but I think that he has potential to be much, much better than that. So you look just down the road from him, his cousin, we all know, Oakland Raiders, 7th overall draft pick, Tyree Wilson, just selected this season as well. Adrian Wilson has a family of NFL-level athletes. So I think this guy, he knows how to be there. He knows what it takes to make it to the big show, just because his cousin, Tyree Wilson, number 7 overall pick, just shows that has incredible athletic talent, incredible pedigree in this family. And I think that Dan Lanning and co., they could sniff that out and just see that Adrian Wilson, he's going to be big, big deal for Oregon going forward. This guy's going to be a high-level athlete. So I'm excited, Nick. This is 2025, but I think this guy, he's already going to start bringing in some of those big-time level recruits, because we talk about all the time, the good recruits, they beget the better recruits. A players want to play with the A players. This guy is an A player, and he has some S tier, highest tier you can imagine level players in his family as well. And I think that's what he could aspire to be one day.
And Miles, I think you hit on something that's very interesting. You talked about his older brother. It was his older brother or his cousin? Cousin. I apologize. Tyree Wilson, who went to Texas A&M and then Texas Tech. This family is from Texas. Like I alluded to in my statements earlier, Oregon, when they were last at national power year in and year out, they recruited nationally, including the state of Texas, about as good as any program in the country. The fact they were able to secure Wilson's commitment, this guy has family connections. He lives in Texas and has family connections to multiple Texas big-time programs, Texas Tech and Texas A&M. Despite all that, Dan Lanning was able to get him to commit. Again, if you have that quality of a salesman running your program, success will continue to come in terms of recruiting pipeline. I think fans of the Oregon Ducks should be really excited by the direction this team's on right now.